Good evening, everybody.
Hello. Thank you for joining us.
How are you guys doing tonight? We're here to talk about Alaska. For hundreds of years, adventurous souls have traveled to Alaska in search of fortune and fame. In the process, many were mesmerized by the majesty and splendor of the land. Those sights have inspired millions of visitors to follow their paths, seeking the experience of a lifetime. Tonight, we're discussing our first trip to Alaska. We certainly don't plan for it to be our last.
That's true.
All right, so
Let's change our screen.
with that said, let's get back over where we can see our comments if there's anybody coming in tonight.
Yes, make sure you say hello.
Yeah,
Tell
if
us
you're-
where you're
if you're
from
watching.
if we don't know.
Absolutely, let us know where you're watching from. But we just got back from our 11-night land and sea tour with triple Denali. So we had 3 nights in Denali, we had 7 nights on the ship, and we had 1 night in Anchorage.
And we spent one night in Vancouver.
Right. And before we got on the ship, we spent a night in Vancouver. And before that, we spent a night in Atlanta because we flew out at like 8:30 in the morning.
No, it was like 7:30 in the morning.
And then we spent a night on the plane on the way back. So we were gone from home for 14 nights.
Yeah, Thursday and Friday were one day.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience, that's for sure.
Yes, to say the least.
But
it was fun.
It was incredible. So let's talk about Alaska.
Okay.
Let's talk about our favorite thing about Alaska, because we keep getting asked that by people that we've talked to since we got back. Everybody seems to want to know, what was your favorite thing about Alaska?
And it's a difficult question.
Yeah.
And it really makes you think, because there's a lot of awesome things.
There are.
And, instead of saying place or thing or whatever, you and I both had the same answer.
Pretty much.
And then I was like, well, if I had to choose one, and then it's like I chose one, but it was the just the vast views or scenery and the visual stimulation.
Right.
It was just enormous.
It was. And I mean, it's been said before, but everywhere you turned, everywhere you looked, it was like a postcard.
Mm-hmm.
Like this incredible landscape postcard.
Yes.
Everywhere. I mean, it was hard to look anywhere at any time and not see just this incredible view. And talking about your perspective, you had no idea how big things are
until you saw a decent sized ship that looked like a little pea.
Right. You couldn't tell how big things were until there was some sort of frame of reference.
Mm-hmm. Like a bear looked like a little.
It looked like a rock. It looked like a black rock on the beach.
Yeah.
And you couldn't see it moving, not with the naked eye. I had a 240 millimeter lens on my camera. All I could see through it was a black dot. Couldn't see any movement. You guys will see in the next weeks and months video from Alaska, and I actually had to blow that up like 15 times to get this horribly grainy video to where you could finally make out that it was a bear out there. So it's just incredible. One of the things that not a lot of people would probably know about me, but when I was younger, I had a great love for National Geographic, the magazines, and looking through the magazines and the pictures. And there was a time in my life when I wanted to be a National Geographic photographer. I wanted to do that. And this trip definitely gave me a chance to shoot both video and photos in that type of incredible setting, which I've tried to do before, but there's just something about that vast landscape that's so amazing. Got anything else to say about that subject?
If I was to choose if I had to choose something, I think what I ended up saying was Glacier Bay. It was just amazing.
Yeah,
Just
it was.
being around all the glaciers and all the ice in the water and it's just moving and how deep does it go? I don't know. And so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's really where perspective came into play, because when you look at these pictures and videos that you guys will see coming up, you got to realize we were anywhere from 1 to 5 miles from the face of those glaciers.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really tell in the video until certain things happen. But
right.
So,
and that might be a good transition into another topic.
Yeah.
As well.
Talking
about Glacier Bay.
Yeah, because that's one of the subjects that we did want to talk about. Was when we were in Glacier Bay, I really wanted to capture a glacier calving. I've seen it on video before. I really wanted to capture that. And we were at the Marjorie Glacier for about 2 hours, I think. Mm-hmm. And the captain just kind of spun the ship in circles. So each side had a view. And we started on the bow of the ship because we were headed in, and it was packed with people.
I was there early, so I got a decent spot for a while.
Yeah. I tried starting up in the crow's nest on our ship, which was this observation lounge at the very front of the ship. Unfortunately, the windows are not conducive to shooting video through or pictures. Most autofocus cameras don't want to shoot through a window. They tend to focus on the window itself. So I had to move, and I moved down to the bow of the ship, which they opened especially for Glacier Bay and College Fjord. Mm-hmm. But it was packed with people. And as the ship was turning, I would have people getting into my line of sight and people lifting, action cams on sticks up in front of me, and what exactly they think they're going to capture with an extreme wide angle action cam, I don't know, but
they were taking pictures of it.
They were taking pictures.
They were taking video.
Yeah.
Not everybody knows all the ins and outs of photography and video making.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if that's all you got, I guess you want to capture it. But, at that distance, you're just going to have a white line across your picture. And the rest is going to be mountains and sea. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to be able to zoom in a whole lot on it. But anyway, so we found that we had to move a lot. And luckily on the New Amsterdam, deck 3, I believe, is a promenade deck.
You didn't have to stop talking.
Deck 3 is the promenade deck.
Scotty totally lost his train of thought when I went to say hello back.
Jumping in front of me here. Yeah, hey Scott. Let me drop that in there. Oh, what he typed.
Well, I went to type and then you were touching stuff.
There you go, Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Welcome in. All right, now you can type. So anyway, deck 3 is the promenade. So you've got wide teak decks that go around the entire exterior of the ship on that deck. And so you had multiple viewing points. For whatever reason, people seem to want to go up and go to the bow or to the pool deck on the stern of the ship. And that's where they spent their viewing time. So I went down to the promenade on deck 3, and I had to move from the bow to the stern and from the port and starboard sides of the ship to maintain my view of the glacier. And I stayed there for the entire time. And so if you're looking to capture a glacier calving, Number one, you got to have patience and you got to stick with it.
And because you might not see it from the naked eye,
You
and you
might
might
not.
see some movement down
Right.
on the water because I didn't necessarily see it, and
Yeah.
I didn't have the equipment you did, but
Yeah. I
didn't
mean,
see it.
even the equipment that I have, um, looking at a tiny little screen, it doesn't look any bigger than what you see with the naked eye anyway.
Right.
So you can't really see a whole lot, at least not at that zoom level.
And that's what we found, right?
Yeah, and that's what we found for sure. But what I did notice was that I noticed I could see some white things dropping, and I could see some splashes in the water. So I just hit record.
Stop talking with your hands.
So I just hit record and didn't realize what I had until we got home. And you guys, once the Glacier Bay video comes out, we're going to have the full calving that we captured, and it was incredible.
I could not believe what he got.
I could not believe what I got, and I shot it. It was just amazing. There was welcome in, Kent. Thanks for joining us tonight.
He's talking about Glacier Bay.
It was just amazing because I said, well, I got something. That's all I knew when I was shooting it, because I saw splashes in the water. And then I looked at the footage. And one of the things that I noticed, at least at the Marjorie Glacier, was if you start seeing little things fall, you're going to have something bigger fall eventually. So we, on both sides, or in this one section of the glacier, you had a trickle of ice falling. And looking back at the video now, you can see it was dropping from either side of what ended up being this chunk. The entire piece of the front piece of the glacier calved off and fell into the water. Now that glacier is 130 feet tall. So that's like a 13-story building just fell. You can't get the perspective of that, but luckily there was a small excursion boat transiting the front of the glacier at that time.
Look this big.
Yeah, it looked teeny tiny on the camera, but it was at least 4 decks tall.
Mm-hmm.
And there were people standing on the top
deck
like
little ants.
that looked like ants, and so it gives it an incredible perspective.
Yes,
so
yes,
I'm just amazed by that footage. So if you want to capture glaciers calving, keep your camera trained on that glacier. Make sure you have good optics. Like I said, I was working with a 35 millimeter camera and 240 millimeter zoom lens, which is around 5x. So you need at least 5 to 10x. I would say 10 to 12x binoculars would probably
and
work
our
fairly
binoculars
well.
were not good at all.
That kind of brings us to the rest of some of the other discussions about wildlife viewing and things like that.
Yes. The challenge that we found trying to spot wildlife.
Right.
And it was different. I mean, it wasn't the same challenge. And so the biggest one was the weather. And, our excursion got canceled for whale watching.
Our whale watching excursion got canceled. So that entire morning that we were planning on watching whales and capturing whales on film just kind of didn't happen.
No. So there was that challenge. So, you might face that. I mean, we did see
it was
wildlife,
canceled due to high wind.
Right.
In Juneau.
Yeah.
And you'll see that on our vlog. They canceled that. They closed down the tram that goes up to the top of the mountain that morning.
Couldn't do that either.
And come to find out later that afternoon, all the afternoon excursions went out, but the mornings did not. So we kind of, we lost out on that.
Actually, not all, because I heard people talking about it and they're like, oh yeah, we went out. And somebody else was like, well, we didn't. And we were in the afternoon too.
Huh.
So I guess it was just depends on the company and what they were specifically doing. Maybe I don't know, but
Yeah.
So some of the other challenges is not having strong enough binoculars. We're like, oh,
Right.
ours should be fine.
And honestly, if you're going to try to use high quality binoculars, you're going to want some type of either optical stabilization on the binoculars or a monopod or something that you can mount them to, because otherwise there's so much movement. You got movement from the ship, you've got movement when you're trying to hold them up to your eyes. You're not going to be able to stay focused on something long enough to actually see what's going on, at least while you're on the ship.
Right.
So,
well, even if you're on the a train or a bus too.
oh yeah, that's very, very difficult as well.
Yeah.
So
that was the other thing. Now, again, like I said, we did see some wildlife. We're just letting you know that there could be challenges, because I know a lot of people, when they schedule their trips to Alaska, they want to see wildlife. And, most people guarantee some sort of wildlife. And we saw wildlife.
And, you'd hear, oh, there's a whale over there. And you'd look and it was gone. And
if you weren't there, I mean, that's
right. And that's another thing that we wanted to discuss, was take every opportunity to look for what you want to see. So
I saw more on that too, but I'll just go back to that.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of all tied together. Most people want to see wildlife. If you're not looking, you're not going to see it.
That is very true.
And
even if you're looking, you may not see
even if you're looking, you may not see it. Sure.
And it might be right in front of you too.
It might be.
So
like we saw the caribou and the grizzly bears in Denali.
Yeah, the brown bears.
Well, those were grizzlies, but yeah, same thing.
Oh, the brown bears are by the coast, right?
That I think was a black bear.
Up there?
There in College Fjord or wherever.
Oh, that one. No, I thought you were talking
the
about the brown bears in Denali.
Yeah, those were grizzly bears.
Those were grizzlies.
Yeah, because they're interior bears, so the grizzly on the coast they'd be
right.
Bears,
okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
So
we and they were so far away that again we had to zoom in best we could, and there was a gentleman sitting behind me on the bus, and I spotted what I thought it was a discoloration on the ridge. And so I was like, oh, hey, are those the bears? Because it was a mama bear and two cubs. Mm-hmm. And he put his binoculars on and he was like, oh, yeah, he had nice binoculars. So he was able to see it really good. And so I zoomed my camera in as far as I could. I got a semi-decent shot, but a little grainy.
Yeah, I mean, even with my 240 millimeter lens, I've got them in picture. You can see them moving, but it's still, it's not like, Discovery Channel,
right?
Where you're right up in the bear's face, or even where the bear fills the screen,
but it still counts.
Part of the screen.
It still counts. We saw wildlife.
Yes, we saw them.
Yes.
So if you want to get a real good look at the wildlife, I cannot stress enough
if you can afford it.
If you're wanting to shoot video, make sure you have very very long lens. There was a guy there that had a 500 millimeter lens.
But it weighed like 20 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, he's this huge,
moly,
Canon L glass white lens.
It was like
that
big.
And he had a 1.2 teleconverter on it. So he was going out to 700 millimeters or whatever, or no 1.2, 600, I don't know, whatever it was, I forget exactly, but he could get in pretty close. So it was more than twice what I had. So if you're doing video, you're going to want as long of a lens as you can get. If you just want to see it, get the best pair of binoculars with optical stabilization and a monopod to hold them on so you can see what you want to see.
So we have a question from Scott. Oh, hi, Travels and Gardening with DJ.
Hey.
New here, welcome. How's everybody doing? It's a new name for the channel as of Monday. All right, everybody check out Travels with
Gardening with DJ. Cool.
That we got another message, so it popped up when I pressed it. Sorry. So
Okay.
Scott asked if we have black bears where we are,
In Silva, yeah.
and I did answer directly, but yes, but not in our area. We don't necessarily see them around where we live.
There are a lot of bears in this area.
Mm-hmm.
We've never seen. I don't know of any bears that have been seen in town here, or
Not
where
far
we
out
live.
of town, but
Yeah, not far out of town. You'll see them.
mm-hmm.
In other towns around us. Like you go down to Highlands, which is about an hour away from us, just because of the 30 miles an hour on mountain roads. It's not that far as a crow flies, but go down there and they have bears walking down Main Street and at night or early morning hours. So yeah, there's lots of black
what we
bears
see around our area is fox, hawks. What else do we got? Possums, raccoons,
Possum, raccoons, rabbits,
bunnies, hares. They're bigger than some of the bunnies, but yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what else we've seen. We've heard coyote.
Yeah.
Not for years though. It's been a while now since we've heard them.
We have heard them before, so
yeah.
But
anyway, back to the Alaska
back to
viewing.
Alaska. So yeah, if you're taking an Alaska cruise, you got to realize that on most cruises, like Caribbean cruises, the boat is one of the destinations.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say that there was not plenty of things to do on the boat, but if you were doing things on the boat, you're missing out on everything there is to see, because there was no downtime.
No, not much.
You could not expect downtime on this cruise because you were always passing by something where you could see some kind of wildlife, whether it's whales or bears or sea lions or otters or whatever.
Or landscapes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And no, sorry, 7, 8 o'clock comes. That doesn't mean you're off the hook, because the sun's not going to set. Yeah. It's not even going to get anywhere close 10, to 12, dark 11, until after 11 o'clock at night. So all day long, if you want to see stuff, you got to be focused on doing your job and spotting it, or being somewhere where you can hear the announcements, because at least on HAL America, we have a wildlife guide that was talking whenever we were going through an area of high probability of seeing something,
and something was spotted,
he'd be up in the crow's nest, and they'd be out there with binoculars. If they spotted whales or something like that, they'd come over the intercom and they say whales at 3 o'clock
off the starboard side, or
starboard, and point out things like that for you. And there was a lot, but unfortunately, for me, I was not always in the best position to capture all of those. I did get some whale spouts. And then, of course, you never know where or when you're going to see something. The last day.
What just happened?
I just moved this over here.
No, but
I don't know.
It glitched.
Yeah, it didn't glitch. It just went to dark mode.
So Scott has a question.
Yeah, so Scott has a question here. Was this your first cruise on HAL America?
Yes, it was.
It certainly was. In fact, we're going to be back on the New Amsterdam in November for our group cruise. Mm-hmm. So, what's that?
I'm getting all fuzzy.
Oh, okay. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Our final morning, we had the Alaskan brunch, and we got seated at the very back of the dining room, right next to a window, on the stern of the ship. Mm-hmm. And we were sitting there eating breakfast, and I'm looking out.
Yeah, just looking out the back.
Just looking out the back, mm-hmm. And I see this thing sticking out of the water. Looked like a periscope, because it was just dead on to me. Like, what is that? It's just kind of sitting there. And I watched that area, and it disappeared. And then a couple of minutes later, I saw more fins come out of the water, and realized that it was a pod of orca.
Yeah,
that were right behind our boat, cool. Our ship. So,
and of course, we tried to get footage and stuff, but you know,
Yeah.
you got the window and you got
The
it's
window,
like you're
and
inside
we're filming our brunch. So I've got,
It's
a
like-
short little, wide angle lens on to look at us. And
right.
yeah, I tried
So
to.
those are some of the challenges again,
Challenges,
going
yeah.
back to the spotting of wildlife. You know, we took an excursion. It was the wildlife tundra tour in Denali, and it was a 5.5 hour tour, right?
Yep.
And it was really cool. That's where we saw the bears and the caribou.
But
and
for 43
Well,
miles.
hold on. And you saw a golden eagle.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. But what we wanted to see more than anything were moose.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nothing. And there was so much land
There
or
was
areas that you
It's
would
like
see moose.
there's got to be moose out here.
Yeah.
I mean,
There was, I'm sure.
43
There's
miles.
2,100
along that.
moose in
Yeah.
Denali. I think I read something like that. And so, yeah, no moose. So do you want me to finish the story?
Yeah, go ahead and finish it.
So we got dropped off at the visitor center, switched buses, and we're taking a bus back to the chalet. And the bus driver comes on. And he was like, "Oh, hey, did you guys see bears?" And we're like, "Yeah." "Did you see this?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Did you see moose?" And most everyone was like, "No." And he was like, "Really? Okay, well, maybe you'll get lucky, because on the way in there was one, on the way in, and if it's there on the way out, I will stop."
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm sitting here thinking, is this guy yanking our chain? Or was there a statue of a moose somewhere near the entrance? Because I don't remember it. I can't believe that a moose is going to be standing right next to the road.
Right. So we drive out, and sure enough,
on
the side of the road on the way out was a moose.
I mean, literally 10 feet off the road. This moose just sitting there, completely unconcerned with the road traffic, munching on willows.
Yep. Corey's first moose sighting.
Yeah.
Yay.
First moose sighting.
So, I mean, you can see him anywhere. Like Corey said, if you're not looking and, or just in that right place at the right time, you'll miss him.
And you just never know.
No.
You never know what you're going to see. So.
No. Be patient and just keep looking. And, if you don't see them, you don't see them. But it's if they want to show you themselves, I guess.
If you want to see them, you're going to have to put in the work.
Yeah.
You may get lucky and see a few things. There's a lot of stuff you're going to miss unless you put in that work.
Right. And even if you put in the work, you might miss it. That doesn't mean they're not there.
True
I'm
enough.
not the best spotter, but I was doing pretty good. I was looking though hard.
Right.
But
and a good spotter with good binoculars certainly helps.
Yes.
And be somewhere where there are other people around, or where you can hear any announcements of things like that. If you got binoculars, a highly populated area that where you can get a view might be the best place to be.
Yeah.
Because
apparently, was it the first night that we were on the ship and we went to the that wilderness talk with the guide? We were outside and it was raining. It was a little cold because we weren't dressed well enough at that point. And so we went inside, and apparently the next night they come up to us and they're like, "Oh, you'll never believe it. Right after you left, there was a whole pot of whales that came out." And we're like, "What?"
Right.
Literally, right after you left.
Yeah.
So there's always that too.
There is that. And that brings up our next point.
Which one?
Variable weather.
Oh.
Yeah. So we already talked about Juneau. Well, it actually started in Skagway, because all day in Skagway it rained. Luckily, we didn't have an actual excursion planned, but we did have tickets to the lumberjack show.
Is that where we went to the?
Yeah,
that's where we went to the bar that Scott recommended we
Arctic
go.
Bar.
Where the happy bears live, or something.
Where the happy bears live. Yeah, we went to that bar, to Arctic Bar, I think it was called, and had the pinky.
We did,
per Scott's suggestion, but I don't remember the name of the person he asked us to ask for. But she was off that.
She was off that day and the next day.
Yeah.
So we missed her.
So we missed your friend Scott.
Well, we said hi anyway.
Yeah, we sure did.
Yeah.
but variable weather. So throughout our trip, that's one thing that you have to expect about Alaska.
Hmm.
You're going to have rain. You're going to have weather that just doesn't cooperate.
You're gonna have some wind, probably.
You're going to have wind.
You're gonna have sunshine,
And you're going to have sunshine and beautiful
and it'll
days.
be warm.
Or
Somewhat.
warmer.
Well, yeah.
It wasn't warm at all. It was never warm on our trip.
The first sea day we had.
First sea day,
The afternoon, it was like in
warm.
the 60s, maybe. Yeah.
So.
And we're like, wow, this is great. And then it rained for like 3 days straight.
Right.
And it got colder. Well, we were going north too, but it was getting colder as we were going.
And going to Denali on the train ride to Denali, gorgeous days, some scattered clouds, but mostly it was just beautiful. And we had beautiful views of Denali
clear
on the drive up. It was crystal clear, and we could see it. She saw a moose.
And so this is what happened, right? There were people in front of us. They were like, "Oh, it's so beautiful! You have to go down in the front of the car or whatever, because you can go outside on the sides and stuff." It was so nice, so nice, so nice. And for the longest time, I didn't go. And then I had to go to the restroom. And then I was like, you know what? I'm down here. Let me go check outside. And it was beautiful. I had probably stayed there for like, 20 minutes maybe?
A little while.
Yeah. And so I was on one side. It was a little cold on the one side because the sun wasn't out. So I went to the other side and I was like, oh, the sun's out. This is great. And I saw a big moose kind of running, into the woods. And I'm going, hey, there's a moose. There's a moose. And I'm pointing, there's a moose. There's nobody around. And I'm like, damn it, I wish Corey was here. Because I saw a moose. Nobody was around. I was the only one that was out there. So I was the only one that saw that moose. But I was so excited about it.
Let's see. So Scott said we've decided to cruise to Alaska in June 2028 to celebrate our 40th anniversary. 40th.
Yes,
anniversary.
I think that
amazing.
Is a good choice.
Absolutely.
There was a lady that we met that was 85 that paid for her entire family to come out and go to on an Alaska cruise.
And Alaska cruise and land excursion.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many family members she had with her. There were probably 6 or 7 at the table. So it was a good bunch of them.
So I told my dad, "Hey, Dad, if you want to get your whole family together, I think that's a great idea."
But anyway, back to my point about Denali. On the train ride in, it was a gorgeous day. We could see Denali clearly. The next 2 days in the park, it was overcast.
Yeah.
So our 2 days in the park, you couldn't see Denali from the park.
That was generous.
Yeah, Scott said that was very generous of her. It was, for sure, because those are not cheap cruises.
I mean, you can get some.
You can.
Some trips,
I mean, you can get an Alaska cruise that's more affordable. Once you start tacking on the land side, though, it gets a lot more expensive.
And then the travel to get there, especially if you're going to different areas, and all that. But
so, weather's going to be a constant challenge, but that's Alaska. I mean, it always has been, even in the summertime. We saw maybe a couple of days where it was in the 60s, but a lot of the time it was 40s.
40s, 50s.
40s to 50s, yeah.
Rain or overcast.
Yeah.
Which wasn't a bit.
It was fine. And then we saw some beautiful days, Glacier Bay was mostly a beautiful day. College Fjord was a little bit overcast.
Yeah. Glacier Bay was a little cold in the morning, like early in the morning, especially on the bow. And it was really cool because they don't normally open it up, and they open it up for that.
Right.
And so you get to get out there a little closer, and and you're lower.
Yeah.
Because it was on the fifth deck, so you were a little lower.
It was pretty cool. I enjoyed it for sure. So the variable weather, in my opinion, Lori doesn't necessarily agree with this.
It's not that I don't agree with it. It's if you can afford to do this.
Yeah. I would recommend that you buy the high-tech clothing.
Here we go. He's gonna plug Polar Pro again.
No, I'm not gonna talk about Polar Pro, but I will say that the that those T-shirts that I brought from them had long sleeve
Mhm.
T-shirts that were 20% merino wool, and I was wearing them under everything pretty much
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
And I had these, it was kind of like a pullover shirt, but it was more high tech material. It was supposed to be warming, and then maybe my puffer jacket. It
Mhm.
was also from Polar Pro. Um, that that and a hat, and I did not get cold. It kept me warm,
Mhm.
kept me dry. I mean, that then puffer jacket is waterproof. Then we had rain jackets as well that we used, like in Skagway,
Mhm.
when it wasn't really cold enough for the puffer jacket.
No, I wore my puffer jacket in Skagway.
Yeah, I think I just wore my rain
You wore
jacket.
your rain jacket. Mhm.
But that high tech gear, it's not bulky, so it tends to be really thin. That's
Yeah.
why I like it. I don't like the big, heavy, sweatshirts and things like
And
that.
I agree with that.
And
And I
but you
will
like
say,
your cotton hoodies and
well,
sweatshirts and all
no,
that
I
kind of stuff.
mean,
So
I don't. I'm not a big hoodie fan, even though I wear them because I always feel like, I'm choking. But there were a black shirt that you had bought for me at Duluth for a long time ago. It was like, I don't even know what material it is, but it's a shirt that you wear under, like he was saying, like you wear something under
like
and it's long sleeve and
long
it's
johns or
thin.
something,
Yeah.
right?
I wore that probably the most out of everything that I wore. And I ended up buying a sweatshirt with no hood because I only brought one hoodie and it was like, I didn't like the double hoods.
Yeah.
Although when I didn't wear the double hoods, my puffer jacket hood was too big. So I had to put something else over on my head. But I wore sweatshirts and stuff like that because I
Mhm.
just tend to be colder
Yeah.
normally than you. But I wasn't. I was comfortable most of the time. Like I said, on the front of the ship, in Glacier Bay, in the early morning, it was like 8, 9, or whatever. The wind's whipping, and it was cold. My eyes were tearing, my nose was running, and I had like this really thin scarf that I had to kind of cover my neck. So I had it like up here, and I had my like heavy hat or my hat and whatever it's called.
That was the coldest area because
Mhm.
being on the front of the ship's moving 20 miles an hour or whatever. So you've got all that wind right into your face.
And they offered, I'll say this, which was really cool. The night before, they sent you a little, they put a piece of paper in your room and asked if you wanted a commemorative cup with coffee or hot chocolate or I don't think that they have tea. I don't know. But then you could choose to spike them if you wanted to as well.
Yeah.
And so we ended up not doing it for whatever reason. And then when I got out there that morning, I had made a cup of tea because I had brought my tea canister or whatever. And so I was already empty by the time I got out on the front of the ship, and they had mulled wine that they were giving out. And although I'm not a huge, because it's kind of sweet, they had oranges and everything. I was like, yes, I will take one of those. And I was like, oh, it's 9 o'clock in the morning.
Some Glühwein.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. And I put it in my teacup, and I had some warm liquid that was filling my body. So that did help too.
Yeah.
So they did offer that as well.
And then they were selling the insulated mugs,
which we ended up getting anyway.
Yeah, we ended up getting them anyway because that's one thing. If you don't already know, on cruise ships, the coffee cups tend to be really small, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna get that insulated mug because I didn't bring one with me.
And he used it every day.
I used it every day after that.
Yeah.
So I had enough coffee to carry around with me.
Yep. Yep. And then of course it's traditional for Holland America to give you pea soup.
Pea soup on the bow.
I think it's on the bow. I don't know if it was anywhere else because you said you didn't get any.
I didn't get any. No.
So
I think at that time I was down on the promenade deck. So
yeah, because I told you I was waiting to get the pea soup before I left to meet you.
Yeah,
and,
I was sticking out my space.
You did.
Like, nah, this is my space. I'm staying here. I'm keeping the camera on that glacier until I see some.
Yeah, I didn't bring him any pea soup.
Yeah.
It was cold by the time it got to me, but I ate it. It was pretty decent. But
yeah. So that's one of my tips, and of course, the hats. Now we saw this from somebody else.
Yes,
about traveling in Alaska. If you're
And
wearing
I
a
wore both
raincoat or
ways.
something with a hood, or any coat that's waterproof with a hood, put a ball cap on.
If it's raining,
Yep.
wear a ball cap
Wear a ball cap
under that hood.
because number one, when you pull your hood up, that will keep
If
the
it
ball
fall on
cap
your
will keep the
face.
hood out of your face, and then the bill of that cap will keep the water from running down your face and down your shirt and
Yes,
everything
it
else.
stays out of your face.
Stays out of your
There was
face,
one
so.
day it was colder, so I put my knit hat on and then I put my hood up, and it did not. And so I was like, okay, yep, absolutely right. I'm not doing this again because it was going in my face, all the water. And so I started wearing a hat after that.
Yeah.
And a baseball hat.
Yep.
So that's a good tip. That was definitely a good tip.
Right. So that's my advice. If you can afford some thin, high-tech cold weather
Or
gear,
just something that like hugs
Yeah.
you underneath. That's
Right.
light.
because those layers
Keeps your
are
core
vital.
warm. Mm-hmm.
Because as the days warm up, you're going to be stripping things
Should
off.
I tell everybody what I wore on the day of Glacier Bay?
What did you wear on the day
I
of
had
Glacier
like
Bay?
3 layers. So I had, what did I have? I had like 3 shirts on, right?
I don't know what you.
Yeah. So I had a tank top, I had a long sleeve shirt, and then I had a sweatshirt on. And then I had workout pants and sweatpants on. And I had my fuzzy socks on my feet.
Wow. Okay.
And I had my knit hat. I had that scarf around my neck. And of course, my puffer jacket over it all. So, yeah.
Okay.
But then after I left the bow, I had to strip some layers off because I was getting a little hot.
Yeah.
But up there, it worked great. It
Yep.
did. But beyond that, walking around the ship and stuff, I was like,
And especially if you're out on an excursion or something, you know.
No, I had my hoodie. That's what I had over my.
Yeah, because when we went on the Tundra Wilderness Tour in that school bus going 43 miles in and 43 miles back out of Denali, I guess I was sitting right over the heater because it got hot. And I ended up taking my jacket off and kind of stuffing it in the seat between the seat and the wall. And sitting on,
the
it
other side. Yeah, I
because
didn't remember being that hot.
the heat was blowing on me and I was roasting over there. And then
I would have switched seats.
There were
with
people
you.
around me complaining, "Oh, it's cold." I'm like, well, sorry.
Oh yes, layers in Alaska are a definite like that. You have to do that.
Yeah, definitely want the layers. And the other advantage to the high-tech gear, unlike cotton or anything else, is that stuff will dry quickly. So, you get it wet, you take it off, hang it up, it'll dry in no time.
Yeah.
And I really like that about our puffer jackets is the fact that they're water resistant.
Yeah, and I wore it all day in the rain.
All day in the rain,
I did not get wet.
Did not get wet, and the puffer
warm.
jacket did not get wet, or did not stay wet.
Yeah, that was definitely a good choice.
Oh yeah, those were a heck of a buy if you haven't seen it already.
Yeah, my rain jacket was a little too snug with all the layers, and so that's why I chose to wear my puffer jacket, and it worked great.
Yeah,
I was happy. I was like, oh yeah, once this worked, I knew it would be okay in the rain. That was it. I wore it the whole week, and then some. So
I'm going to plug Polar Pro once more.
There we go, Polar Pro.
All right, Polar Pro is a lens filter manufacturer primarily, but on their website, polarpro.com, they don't pay me to do this, but if you're watching this, there's a possibility you're going to Alaska, or maybe you just live in a cold weather climate and you need clothes or whatever.
Well, I mean, we need layers here.
We need layers here, and I'm going to be
degree
using all that stuff here next winter.
Yes, we are.
But they've got an expedition gear section on their website, and last I checked, everything in that section is on clearance for like 75% off. So those puffer jackets that normally sold for $200, we got for $50. Same thing for the rain jackets.
Warm
those
and
merino wool t-shirts were $25. So anyway,
yeah.
Enough said. If you're interested,
No more
go
Polar
check them
Pro.
out. Yeah. Just passing that along. All right. So what else do we have to say about Alaska? Mosquitoes?
Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah. If you got any questions, definitely put them in chat.
Yeah.
Uh,
Otherwise, yeah, we can talk about
Let's talk about mosquitoes.
The state bug.
Yeah, the state bird.
The state bird. That's
Yes.
right. They do call it the state bird.
Yes.
The other state
The
bird.
other state bird.
Yeah.
Ptarmigan is the main state bird.
Right.
Which we saw ptarmigan in
We
Denali.
did. We did.
But the mosquitoes. Let's talk a little bit about mosquitoes. They're massive.
And they will chew on you.
They don't care what temperature it is. I mean, where I'm from, if it's not 65 or higher, you won't see mosquitoes. It's too cold for them. They're out, they're hiding somewhere. Not in Alaska, 45 degrees, and you're going to get swarmed if you
adapted.
Yeah, they have definitely adapted, and they're massive, and they will swarm all over you. You want to know how big they are? Any Floridians out there been around Lake Okeechobee? Yeah, those kind of mosquitoes, massive suckers. Yeah.
So bring your bug spray.
Yes, definitely bring your
Although
bug
we
spray.
didn't use bug spray.
We had bug spray, but I forgot we had it.
We had it in the first aid kit.
Yeah. We always bring a first aid kit when we travel. And I completely forgot that we had that little can of bug spray in there. I wish we'd had it.
Insects. And they have the little, were those the ones in the swarms, or were those the little gnats? Because they had those too, right? Or was it the mosquitoes that were in the...
Oh, the mosquitoes were in swarms.
Okay.
When we were in Anchorage.
That's...
And we went to the Earthquake Park.
Yes.
So there's this area in Anchorage, they call it Earthquake Park, for the 1963, 64 earthquake that was 9 point something.
6.
Yeah.
9, 4.
I mean, it destroyed all kinds of buildings, and this one residential neighborhood, the ground just happened to be where the Atlantic and Pacific plates met, and the ground dropped 50 feet. And
that's where I posted a couple days ago on our social media. If you guys want to see where we were kind of tugging each other back and forth so we didn't fall on one side or the other.
Yeah, and they never rebuilt in that area. They had a bunch of houses fall into the ocean there. People lost their lives. So it was.
But they said there was like only 9 people.
Yeah, only 9 people, but almost all
because
of those,
it was
all
on
of those
holiday.
9. Yeah, it was on a Good Friday.
Yeah.
And luckily, all the businesses were closed. School was closed. The high school there in Anchorage was completely destroyed. And they had a basketball championship scheduled in that high school that night.
Yeah.
But
the mothers were upset.
They were
gonna
miss
church because I guess it was
kids would miss Good Friday church services or whatever. Something. And so the principal changed it to Saturday.
About insects, I feel like they're crawling on me.
And bam,
That's why
the entire building was destroyed. So, what else? Well, I think the last thing we had to say, unless you've got anything else to say on that.
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
For now, anyway. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff, but.
So one last tip for you guys.
Now this is a tip.
This is a tip. If you have any big purchases of small things,
or things that you can carry back.
Or things that you can carry back with you.
You'd be able to get them to ship them too.
Yeah.
They ship.
Well, yeah, but it'd be more expensive to ship.
Well, maybe.
You'd lose a lot of your savings there, or at least some of it. So like me, I was looking for a replacement for a laptop that I had just sold. And I had been looking at an iPad Pro to do some of the things that I needed to do. Just so happened they had an Apple store in Anchorage. And one of the great things about Alaska is they have
wait. Okay.
No sales
tax. For dramatic effect.
No sales tax in Alaska.
No sales tax.
We didn't even realize it until we got to Denali, I
Well,
guess.
you didn't realize
I
it.
didn't realize.
I didn't know.
I didn't pay any attention,
No.
We just paid whatever we paid. And then I noticed, oh, there's no sales tax here. Well, wait a minute.
There's no sales tax
I'd
here.
been planning on buying this new iPad and knew that it was going to be expensive. I can save well over $100 in sales tax if I just buy it here. So there you go.
So we took a trip to the Apple store.
Yeah,
twice.
Yeah.
The first time, I mean,
we got a few gifts for ourselves.
Yeah,
so.
we did. We splurged a little. Well, no sales tax, so we saved a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So
if you're gonna buy it anyway,
if you're gonna do it, definitely do it in Alaska.
Might be worth the trip. All right. Let's see. I think that covers just about everything that we were going to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
Everything we lined out. If nobody has any questions,
but if you think of some later, feel free to message us. Or put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments if you're watching this after live, which probably a lot of you are, since I think Scott's the other one that's hung out with us.
There was a couple in and out, but yes. Yeah. So that is great info, Scott. So definitely keep that in mind. Keep room in your suitcases.
Yeah.
That's what we did too. We packed because remember I had that big packing thing. That I was like, I don't know what to do. He comes out and he was like, oh my God, how much stuff do you have? I'm like, what are you talking about? I took half of what I was going to take. And so he was kind of giving me a hard time, but I was like, fine. He goes to work and I was like, all right. I go back through and I took another half of what I had out because we needed to make room in case we knew we wanted to buy gifts. We knew we wanted to buy souvenirs and stuff for us. So we wanted to make sure that we had room. So make sure that you guys have room in your luggage to be able to bring stuff back. Man, if you're going to buy stuff without the sales tax too.
All right. So Scott says, do we have a full review of Holland America coming?
Think we can make that happen?
Yeah. We're going to make that happen. Here's one thought on that. Since number one, we did not experience that ship the way we could have, the way we would have in the Caribbean.
Well, and there's that.
We didn't spend much time doing anything on the ship.
Not
or at
much.
least I didn't.
Yeah.
We did a few things, and I tell you, everything that we did was just
fun,
a blast.
Yes.
So you'll see that in some of the videos. But since we're going to be back on the New Amsterdam in November, we were going to do kind of take a look at a comparison because they had a special menu in Alaska. Had a lot of Alaskan favorites.
Taste of Alaska.
Taste of Alaska.
Yeah. Pretty cool. We tried to do that as much as we could. Taste
and we ate that as much as we could. So we don't have a complete grasp on the food and what most people are going to experience. And we didn't get to many of the venues at all.
No.
So, we had the have it all package, which was the drink package, and
we didn't utilize it.
Didn't utilize it at all. Yeah.
But we did get lots of water.
We got lots of water. Yeah.
A lot of water in Denali. We brought it with us, so at least we didn't have to worry about water.
We ended up sticking about half a case of water in our suitcase and let them take it to Denali for us.
Yeah.
So that we had water in our room there.
So I don't know how much of a review you would get for this particular one. You might get some, but definitely after the November cruise, where we're going to have more sea days and actually be more involved and engaged in the
ship. Maybe we can talk about our perspective on Holland America next week. How's that sound?
Wednesday?
Yeah. So next Wednesday.
How about that, Scott?
Yeah, next Wednesday we'll just go through all of our impressions.
Okay. What we did, what we didn't do, and what we'd like to do.
What we didn't do, and what we'd like to do, and what.
Thanks for helping figure out what we're going to do next week, Scott. Woo, Scott!
All right, keep us inspired.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much covers everything for tonight,
Yes,
and we're
yes,
almost up to our hour, as we
yes.
tend to do.
I know. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah.
It does his best. We'll do what we can for you too.
Yeah. So
Thanks for coming out, y'all, and we appreciate the support.
yeah,
Of course.
we thank folks for coming out and watching. And if you have any questions or comments, please put it down in the comments below. We do read and answer every single one of them.
We do.
And we thank you for joining us tonight.
Mhm.
And if you watched this far, hopefully you've already subscribed to us. If not, make sure you hit that subscription
Please do
button and the notification bell so you don't miss a thing when we publish something new.
Yeah, because we have lots of Alaska content.
We
coming.
do.
A lot.
It's going to be probably 3 months worth of videos just from Alaska, because
And we have lots
we
of
were there so
pictures
long.
and stuff
And
too.
yeah, and
And
so many pictures.
golly, yeah, it's
And
beautiful stuff.
like I say, everything I saw just inspired me. So I can't wait
Yeah.
to put these videos
And just
together.
remember, what we've captured, you really can't capture 100% on a camera or on a video than you can with your eyes.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing.
It is. You know, there's only so much you can do with a camera,
Mhm.
especially with a variable weather conditions and you know, and variable experience level and of the operator.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you're still, it's just such a gorgeous place.
Yep. So yeah,
In
definitely
summer.
stay tuned. In summer, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
not
in
the
summer.
winter.
I don't know what it looks like in winter. I don't
Ooh,
know
it's
that I want
dark
to go there
in the
then.
winter.
Yeah.
Because they said that there's in the summer solstice they have 23 hours of light,
Yeah.
but probably the winter solstice they have like 23 hours of darkness.
Yeah. And we that's another thing we can mention. We stayed up till like 1:15 in the morning one
Trying
morning
to see the
because
Northern Lights.
we're supposed to be the possibility of seeing the Northern Lights.
It was too late.
And I tell you, 1:15 in the morning, you could sit out there by the fire pit and still read a book.
Yeah.
Without any additional light.
Yeah.
It was still that light out.
It was pretty cool.
So
mind
blowing. Yeah. Mind blown.
Yeah.
So it never really gets dark.
No.
In the summer.
Not this time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Anyways, okay.
All right, guys.
Yeah,
we will see you next time from Peaks to Tides.
See you on the next ride.
Bye, guys.
Bye.